Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
Look at the first part of a flowchart that shows you what to do if you have a headache.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
There are various different reasons why you may have a headache. Some of them are not serious and can be treated easily, perhaps by simply taking a pain-killing tablet, like an aspirin. Some headaches, however, may be a symptom of something far more serious, and you should get immediate advice. First of all, ask yourself if you think you have other symptoms that suggest you have a cold. Do you have a fever, a runny nose, a cough, or a sore throat? Have you been sick at all? If you have, then you probably have a bad cold or the flu, and the headache is just one of the symptoms. Get plenty of rest and drink plenty of water. There are many types of medicine that you can buy at a chemist, and these will relieve some of the symptoms. Remember, though, medicine will not actually cure the condition, and you might prefer to just drink hot water with some lemon and honey, and take a couple of aspirin. Now, if you don't think you have a cold, you must ask yourself how bad the headache is. If the headache is really bad and you have a stiff neck, there may be a bigger problem. If you feel that normal light is hurting your eyes, it may also be cause for concern. Meningitis is a serious condition. It is caused by an infection of blood around your brain and spinal cord. The condition can seriously affect your brain if not treated immediately. You must see your doctor or go immediately to the nearest hospital. If you do not show these symptoms, you may still have something that needs treatment quickly. You may have an injury of some kind, and you must try to remember if you have hit your head at all in the last few days. If you have, you may be suffering from concussion. Concussion occurs after an injury to the head, when blood pushes against the brain. It is very serious, and you must make sure that you get treatment immediately. Now, if you don't remember any recent injury, you must ask yourself if you feel...
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
Extract 1. Acrophobia is a fear of heights. A lot of people confuse it with vertigo, which is a normal feeling that people get in a very high place. Acrophobia is a phobia and can be very dangerous. The person who suffers may panic and want to escape the situation. The quickest way to escape is to jump. People who suffer from acrophobia will avoid being at the top of tall buildings and will not like going up long staircases. It may be a phobia that is a result of past experience. Children see things fall and break, and so become very frightened of the same thing happening to them. Extract 2. Now this phobia has a number of different names: brontophobia, astrophobia, and coronaphobia. It is a phobia of storms, especially storms with thunder and lightning. It is especially common in children, but can continue into adult life. People who have a serious phobia worry when the spring turns to summer. They expect there to be more storms during that time. When a storm is approaching, they feel very uncomfortable and even physically sick. Many of those who suffer, especially children, hide when there is a storm, perhaps in a cupboard or under the bed. Adults with the condition may watch weather forecasts on television every 30 minutes to check that the weather is good. Extract 3. Now, most people are, to some degree, afraid of dying, but necrophobia is a fear of anything connected with death. It is more than a fear of dying. People who have necrophobia are terrified of seeing dead things. They will stay away from museums where there are mummies or skeletons and avoid any images of dead people. They will panic if they see a dead animal in the street or in a forest, and will avoid watching a program or movie that shows people dying or near to death. This phobia may be something that is natural in all of us to some degree, but is probably made worse by seeing a dead person or a favourite pet dying at some time in the past.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Listen to the conversation between Daniel, a Spanish student, and Kira from Greece. Kira is asking about medicine for a cold. And then answer the following questions. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Not so bad, thanks. What about you?
To tell the truth, I've got a terrible cold. Achoo!
Oh, sorry to hear that. Poor you. Maybe it's the change in the weather, or maybe you've been working too hard lately.
Well, it must be the weather. Achoo!
Bless you. Have you taken any medicine?
No, I haven't. Can you recommend anything?
Now, let me see. I got some tablets a couple of months ago when I had a cold.
Do you remember the name?
Not exactly, but they were black and white capsules, sort of cylindrical shaped, and the label on the bottle had a name printed at the top in block letters, and I think the bottle was square. I'm not exactly sure. The name might have been something like Vigilan or Vegilan.
How is it spelt?
If I remember correctly, it's Vegilan.
Vegilan. I'll just make a note of that. Thanks.
Not at all, and I hope you feel better soon.
Me too. By the way, Daniel, where's the nearest chemist?
Oh, that's easy. From here you go directly south to the 2nd Main Street, and then you turn left. Continue straight along past the church, and at the next intersection turn right. It's on the left, the second shop after the bank, which is on the corner. You can't miss it.
I think I know it. It's just opposite the shoe shop, and there's a greengrocer's between it and the bank.
You got it. Mind how you go.
Thanks. Well, I'm off now. Bye.
Cheerio. See you soon.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. Do sit down. Now, tell me, what made you apply for this job?
Well, I've been wanting to improve my position for some time, and it seemed to me that the job you advertised would give me an opportunity to learn more about marketing and sales techniques in general.
Where are you working at present, Mr. Brown?
Well, actually, I haven't got a job at the moment. I had a job as chief clerk in the buying department of a retail store, Johnson & King. I expect you've heard of them. But to tell the truth, I didn't quite hit it off with the sales manager.
Oh, why was that, Mr. Brown?
Well, he was rather old-fashioned in his methods, and the sales policy of the firm seemed to me too slow. I'm a great believer in the personal approach to selling. I took a course in business management at the London Commercial College, and I'm afraid I found Johnson & King's methods very out of date. They first opened in 1880, you know, and I don't think they've changed their ideas since then.
Really? In that case, you may be interested to know that our firm first started business in 1870, and we believe that the old slogan, "The customer is always right," still holds good today. I'm afraid our chairman, Samuel Jackson, great-great-grandson of the original founder of the firm, Josiah Jackson, does not approve of high-powered modern selling technique, and with some justification, as our export figures show. We base all our sales technique on Peterson's theory of salesmanship, published in 1900. I presume you've read it.
Oh, well, actually, no. But I'll make a point of getting one from my local library without delay.
Do that, Mr. Brown, and then come and see me again.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a conversation between a peer tutor and an engineering student who needs help with a project. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24.
Hi, John. Thanks for seeing me today. I'm really struggling with my project. I have to come up with a design for a water treatment system, and I'm really not sure what I'm expected to do.
Well, as peer tutors, we've been taught to follow a process in these tutorials, okay? The first step is to look closely at the task instructions.
That sounds good. I'm also... well... we've been told to do some research, but I don't know where to start.
It's always hard to start with. We've got about 45 minutes today. That should give us some time to go over it. Have you done much research before?
No. This is my first project like this, and I'm really stressing out about it. I went to a seminar about research at the start of the year, but I've forgotten most of it.
Well, that's fine, because the next step in our tutorial will be to consider some common research strategies that you can use to get started. With engineering, a lot of the projects you do are practical, so you can think about how you can access other people's write-ups of similar projects.
Yes, that sounds useful. How do I find those?
Well, there's always the online databases, but you need to know what search terms to use. So, can you think of any useful terms?
Cameroon, I guess? And maybe grey water?
Yes, good. but those might not give you many hits. What about the type of research? I've always found it helpful to search for case studies, you know? There's probably a whole lot of those on systems set up for other villages in developing countries that you could look at. I've got a couple here actually. They're on different topics, but we can look at the structure and develop some useful ways to focus your research. Is there anything else you'd like to look at today?
I can't think of anything right now. That all sounds good.
Great. Then the next step is to come up with an action plan. How long have you got?
To finish the project? 4 weeks, I think. It's due on the 6th.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30.
Right, let's start with the project requirements then. You've got them there? Great. Let's see. Tell me what you understand about the task.
So we need to create a system for grey water treatment so that we can minimise the strain on the overloaded water supply in a village in Cameroon.
That's right.
But I don't get the details about the type of system and what it needs to be used for.
Okay, we'll come back to the type of system in a minute. It says here grey water. Have you learnt about grey water?
No, I missed the lecture.
Okay, so it's the water we use in our houses, but not in the toilet. The water that goes down the drains, not into sewage. It can be recycled because it's relatively clean. So what might the water treatment system try to do?
Treat it and direct it somewhere else?
Exactly. Why treat it?
'Cause... Oh, right. I get it. 'Cause it's still going to have bacteria in it. That's why it needs to be treated.
That's right. And then when it's treated, what could it be used for?
Something else, like irrigation in gardens?
Yes, there are other practical uses too, inside the house.
For toilet systems? Oh, what about for laundry?
Yes, exactly. That's a good example.
Okay, that's pretty clear now. Thanks.
Great. Now, let's think about the type of research you might need to do.
I'll need to look at different types of water treatment systems, so I know the pros and cons of each one.
Good. Where would you look first?
The internet?
Yes, but be careful. Remember, you're likely to find a lot of biased websites. You know, manufacturers wanting to advertise their brands. It might be better to use the engineering library.
I'm not too confident about using the library, to be honest. It's so hard finding the right resources.
It's often about choosing the best search terms to put into the catalogue search field.
Yeah, I try to do that. Like water treatment?
That might be too broad.
Grey water treatment systems?
That's more like it. And you'll need to search for systems designed for residential, not commercial use. There's a big difference.
I usually end up borrowing a massive pile of books, then get home and find they're useless.
Try reading through the contents before you take them out. Flick through to relevant sections. Often it helps to read parts, not all the way through, but...
Just to get the main idea.
That's right. Oh, and I see this as an EWB project. Have you seen the website? It might have some exemplars of the winning designs from last year's competition.
No, I saw that and didn't know what EWB meant.
Engineering Without Borders is what it stands for.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 4.
You will hear a talk on the topic of the caveman diet. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Hello everyone. Do you use the internet? If I asked you what is the single most common topic for advertisements on the net, I suspect ads for weight loss would win hands down. After all, dieting is one of our current obsessions. We've all heard of the Atkins diet, the macrobiotic plan, the South Beach diet, the raw food eating plan. All of these fad diets and many more promise that you will lose kilos and live a healthy life if you just follow their plan. Today we're going to discuss one of the most well-known Western diet trends, the paleo or caveman diet. Firstly, what is this diet and where did it come from? Proponents of this diet argue that we need to return to basics, that is, to what our forebears ate many years ago. They say that our bodies are not well suited to digest complex carbohydrates such as grains and legumes. We should be eating a hunter-gatherer diet, rich in lean meat, fish, nuts and berries, and without wheat, oats or other grains that came into our diet after the invention of agriculture. Sounds logical, doesn't it? But let's look a little closer. The first question to ask about the caveman diet is, what did our ancestors actually eat? One way to discover this is to study the diets of existing hunter-gatherer tribes. Although these groups do tend to regard meat as the best source of food, they often have difficulty in finding it. In Africa, for example, over 50% of the time, the Bushmen tribes come home empty-handed from their hunting expeditions, despite being very skillful with equipment such as bows and arrows. So what do they eat when they can't get meat? Well, the wives come to the fore then, foraging for and cooking local plants. Most of the groups eat a lot of plants. These range through a huge variety of local species, including nuts, plantains and yams, and evidence suggests that this was true of our ancient ancestors as well. Researchers suggest that these people would eat more meat if they could get it, but in fact only approximately a third of their calories comes from this protein and fat-rich source. Research shows that when these groups first come into contact with a Western diet, their health suffers. Once they're exposed to our diet of refined carbohydrates and sugars, they quickly develop our lifestyle-related diseases. However, that does not mean that the human digestive system is suited to digesting only a few sources of food, nor that it cannot change to accommodate different food sources. In fact, the evidence would suggest exactly the opposite. As a species, we are able to make significant modifications to our digestive systems according to what foods are available in our local environment. Examples abound, and our ability to digest lactose is a good one. Lactose is a sugar that is found in milk, and it is digested in the human gut by the enzyme lactase. In communities in Europe, the Middle East and Africa that traditionally herd cattle and drink cow's milk, this enzyme is present and people can digest milk products. However, in places such as China and Thailand, which do not have this style of farming, the enzyme is lacking, and most people have lactose intolerance. Another example is the ability to digest the sugars from starchy foods. Communities that eat a lot of these foods have saliva that breaks down starchy foods before they reach the gut, whereas other groups have more difficulty in getting nutrition from high starch sources.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.